In the year 3275, the Galactic Xenia Alliance had become a melting pot of species, technologies, and social hierarchies that sprawled across 17 star systems. Despite the Alliance's grand claims of unity and cooperation, the unofficial pecking order was as real as the stars themselves. And humans? Well, they ranked somewhere between tolerated guests and evolutionary accidents. Milo Santos knew this better than most. The 35-year-old spacecraft mechanic from Earth's Pacific Collective had spent the last decade proving his worth at every port, space station, and repair hub where aliens sneered at his primitive methods and dangerous improvisations. It didn't help that his ship, the SS Vagabond, looked like it had been cobbled together from the scrap heaps of 7 different galaxies, which wasn't far from the truth. The Vagabond was ugly, but functional, at least until 3 cycles ago when the quantum stabilizer had blown during a routine jump near the Bellatrix system. With his emergency reserves depleted and communications array damaged, Milo had limped to the nearest repair facility, the infamous Laughing Stars shipyard, owned and operated by the Zerk. The Zerk were an amphibious species with translucent blue-green skin that revealed the constant flow of luminescent blood through their veins. Their 6 eyes, arranged in a hexagonal pattern around their bulbous heads, allowed them to see in nearly all directions simultaneously, a trait they used to maximum advantage when spotting flaws, weaknesses, or opportunities to demonstrate their superiority. Technologically gifted and emotionally stunted, they had made an art form of ridicule, particularly toward species they deemed inferior. Milo docked his battered ship at the outermost berth of the Laughing Stars facility, a position typically reserved for quarantined vessels or those deemed too unsightly for premium placement. The moment the airlock sealed with a wheezing hiss, he knew he was in for a rough time. Identification and purpose, demanded the Port Authority's automated system. Milo Santos, human, captain of the SS Vagabond, he replied, trying to keep the exhaustion from his voice. Requesting emergency repairs and fuel resupply. A brief silence followed, punctuated by what sounded suspiciously like muffled laughter. Request logged. Human Santos. Proceed to Inspection Bay, Delta 9 for assessment. Expect delays. Current estimated wait time, 17 hours. Milo sighed, gathering his diagnostic tablet and tool belt. 17 hours was actually faster than he'd expected. Either business was slow, or they were eager to see just how pathetic a human vessel could be. As he stepped onto the station's main concourse, the familiar weight of alien gazes pressed against him from all sides. Most species had learned to hide their disdain behind masks of professional indifference, but the Zerk made no such pretense. Their clicking, gurgling language carried through the air, interspersed with the unmistakable sound of their specialized laughing sacs, expanding and contracting rapidly. Ignoring them, Milo made his way to the customs checkpoint, where a particularly tall Zerk, with vibrant crimson veins, stood waiting. Human vessel SS Vagabond, the Zerk announced, his translator rendering his words with unnecessary volume. I am Chief Inspector Zarg. You will follow for preliminary assessment. Without waiting for acknowledgement, Zarg turned and strode toward a nearby shuttle. His movements fluid despite the rigid exoskeleton that protected his thorax and lower appendages. The inspection shuttle hummed softly as it approached the Vagabond. Through the viewport, Milo could see Zarg's eyes widening and contracting, a Zerk expression of disbelief mixed with amusement. Your vessel appears to have survived an impressive array of catastrophes, Zarg remarked, manipulating the shuttle's exterior sensors to probe the Vagabond's hull. I count 7 distinct alloy compositions, 3 incompatible wiring systems, and what appears to be is that a 20th century Earth refrigeration unit modified to serve as an atmospheric regulator. Milo crossed his arms. It works. Worked, Zarg corrected, his laughter sacs quivering. Past tense. According to these readings, your quantum stabilizer has not merely failed, It has been atomized. The crystalline matrix has reverted to its base, silicon state. Quite remarkable, actually. I've only seen this type of catastrophic breakdown in historical archives. Can you fix it? All six of Zarg's eyes swiveled to focus on Milo simultaneously, a rare gesture that indicated either great respect or utter contempt. Milo was betting on the latter. Fix it. Zarg's voice, modulator, struggled to convey his incredulity. Human Santos, your vessel requires complete quantum recalibration, stabilizer replacement, hull reinforcement, and, judging by these energy signatures, a full antimatter containment overhaul. The cost would exceed the value of your vessel by approximately 700%. Milo had expected as much. I don't need all that. Just the stabilizer and enough patchwork to make the next jump to Proxima Station. Impossible, Zarg declared with finality. Even temporary repairs would require specialized equipment and materials that you have in abundance, Milo interrupted. I've seen your inventory manifest. Public record. Zarg's eyes narrowed to pinpoints. You researched our facility. I always research the places I might spend my credits, Milo replied evenly. Especially when they have a reputation for overcharging non-Zerk clients. The shuttle docked with the Vagabond's main airlock with a metallic clang, and Zarg rose from his seat with deliberate slowness. Very well, Human Santos. Let us examine this vessel more thoroughly. The next hour was an exercise in humiliation, as Zarg methodically documented every failure, patch, and jury-rigged system aboard the Vagabond. With each discovery, he summoned additional Zerk technicians to witness what he called a masterclass in how not to maintain interstellar transport. By the time they reached the engine room, no fewer than 8 Zerk engineers had crowded into the narrow corridors, their laughter sacs engorged with mirth. And here, Zarg announced, gesturing to the smoldering remains of the quantum stabilizer. We have the piece de resistance. Note the innovative use of copper wiring to bridge a quantum gap, a technique so archaic and dangerous that it violates 7 separate Alliance safety protocols. A younger Zerk technician with pale green veins leaned forward. How has this not resulted in complete molecular dissolution of the surrounding quadrant? Sheer cosmic luck, Zarg replied, which appears to be the primary engineering principle employed throughout this vessel. The gathered Zerk erupted in a chorus of gurgling laughter that reverberated through the ship's hull. Milo stood silently, his jaw clenched so tightly he could feel his teeth creaking under the pressure. Well, Human Santos, Zarg finally said, turning all 6 eyes on him once more. The diagnosis is clear. Your ship is beyond economical repair. I recommend salvage. We offer competitive rates for scrap materials, particularly for rare earth alloys that make excellent curiosities for collectors. Something snapped inside Milo. Not his temper. He'd weathered far worse insults during his years in space, but rather, his restraint. One day, he said quietly. Zarg's laughter sacs deflated slightly. Pardon? Give me 1 day, Milo repeated, his voice steady. 1 standard cycle. I'll show you what this ship, what a human, can do. The gathered Zerk exchanged glances, their eyes contracting and expanding in silent communication. And what exactly do you propose to demonstrate in 1 cycle? Zarg asked, amusement evident in his tone. Milo smiled thinly. I'm going to repair my ship using only the materials you've deemed worthless. And when I'm done, I'll have a drive system that makes your top-of-the-line Zerk cruisers look like children's toys. A new wave of laughter filled the engine room, so forceful that several of the younger Zerk had to steady themselves against bulkheads. A bold claim. Zarg managed once the laughter subsided. Perhaps we should formalize this challenge. The annual Laugh It Up Festival begins tomorrow, a celebration of comedy and absurdity throughout the station. Your demonstration would make an excellent addition to the proceedings. Fine, Milo agreed. Tomorrow, main concourse, before the festival's closing ceremony. Zarg extended a three-fingered hand, the webbing between the digits glistening under the engine room's emergency lights. Agreed. We shall provide you docking privileges for one cycle without charge. Consider it our contribution to the festival's entertainment. As the Zerk filed out of his ship, their laughter still echoing through the corridors. Milo slumped against the burnt-out stabilizer housing. He had just committed to creating a miracle in 24 hours with nothing but scrap and determination. It wouldn't be the first time, but the stakes had never been quite so public. Once alone, he activated his personal AI assistant, a simple holographic interface projected from his wrist communicator.
Ada, damage assessment.
The shimmering blue outline of a gender-neutral human figure appeared before him. Quantum stabilizer, non-functional. Antimatter containment, compromised but stable. Hull integrity, 73%. Life support, operating at minimal capacity. Estimated repair time with current resources, 47 days. Milo ran a hand through his short, dark hair. We don't have 47 days. We have one. Insufficient time parameter, Ada responded flatly. I know, Milo muttered. That's why we need to get creative. He spent the next hour conducting his own thorough assessment of the Vagabond, cataloging every component, tool, and material at his disposal. The situation was grim. The quantum stabilizer was indeed beyond conventional repair. Its crystalline matrix had shattered at the subatomic level. Even with a fully equipped shipyard and unlimited credits, replacing it would take at least a week. But Milo wasn't interested in conventional repairs. He'd been developing a theory for years, one that had earned him nothing but ridicule from the established scientific community. Micro-containment of artificial singularities. In layman's terms, a controlled black hole, small enough to fit in a cargo hold. The theory was sound. At least, he thought it was. Black holes naturally created quantum stability in their immediate vicinity, aligning chaotic particle behaviors through the overwhelming force of their gravity. A sufficiently small black hole, properly contained, could serve as the ultimate quantum stabilizer, requiring no crystalline matrix or conventional technology. The problems, of course, were numerous and potentially catastrophic. Creating even a micro-singularity required enormous energy. Containing it demanded technologies that, officially, didn't exist. And if anything went wrong, the entire Bellatrix system might be at risk. But what choice did he have?
Ada, access my private research files. Protocol singularity.
Warning: accessing theoretical research classified as potentially catastrophic by Alliance standards. Proceed? Yes, Milo confirmed. And start scanning the station's supply manifests. I need to know what materials are available, even in waste repositories. Scanning, Ada acknowledged. Initial results indicate the Laughing Stars facility processes approximately 20 metric tons of technological waste daily. Categorization in progress. While Ada worked, Milo pulled up the schematics for his theoretical micro-singularity containment field. The design required three key components: a quantum focus array to initiate the singularity, a gravitonic dampening field to prevent it from growing beyond safe parameters, and a specialized housing to direct its stabilizing effects while shielding the ship from harmful radiation. None of these components existed in conventional markets. He would have to build them from scratch, using whatever he could salvage from the station's waste. Manifest analysis complete, Ada announced. Several promising materials identified in Waste Processing Section Gamma 3. Additionally, I have located an abandoned research lab in the station's lower levels. Records indicate it was used for experimental quantum physics before being decommissioned 3 cycles ago. Why was it decommissioned? Milo asked, already gathering his tools.
Official records cite reallocation of resources to more promising ventures. Unofficial station communications suggest the lead researcher was dismissed for pursuing avenues deemed wasteful and potentially hazardous.
Milo grinned. Sounds like my kind of scientist. Who were they? Lead researcher, Lyra. Artificial intelligence construct, Quantum 9 classification. Milo stopped mid-motion. An AI leading a research division? Affirmative. Lyra was designed specifically for quantum theory innovation. Her dismissal appears to have been politically motivated rather than performance-based. And what happened to her after the lab was shut down? Unknown. No decommissioning records exist. Last logged location, maintenance level, Sector 12, approximately 734 days ago. Milo slung his tool belt over his shoulder. Looks like we have 2 salvage operations to run. Let's find some scrap, and an AI. The Laughing Star's Waste Processing Center was a sprawling complex of automated sorting mechanisms, compression units, and recycling synthesizers. Most waste never made it to actual disposal. The Zerk were notoriously efficient at extracting value from even the most damaged components. But their definition of value was narrowly focused on established technologies. Anything experimental or unconventional was typically discarded, which made it a treasure trove for someone like Milo. Using Ada's guidance, he navigated through the labyrinthine facility, avoiding the sparse security patrols and automated monitoring systems. The Zerk hadn't bothered with extensive security. Who would want to steal trash? In Processing Section Gamma 3, Milo hit the jackpot. A recent shipment of decommissioned military equipment had been partially processed, with the valuable components already extracted. What remained were experimental power cells, quantum measurement devices, and most importantly, several damaged but potentially salvageable gravitonic modulators. Exactly what he needed for the containment field. He worked quickly, filling his carry sack with the most promising components. As he was extracting a particularly delicate quantum sensor array, a soft voice spoke from the shadows. The calibration on that unit is off by 0.3 microns. It's why they discarded it. Milo froze, then slowly turned toward the voice. In a dim corner of the processing bay stood what appeared to be a maintenance drone, a hovering spherical unit with multiple articulated appendages. But the voice that had emerged from it was far too sophisticated for a simple maintenance AI. "Lyra," he ventured. The drone drifted closer, its optical sensors adjusting to focus on him. "You know my designation. You are not Zerk. Purpose. My name is Milo Santos. I'm looking for components to repair my ship and, well, I heard about your research. I think it might be relevant to my current problem." The drone circled him slowly, scanning the components he had collected. Quantum focus array, gravitonic dampening field elements, radiation shielding, purpose, micro-singularity containment. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Milo admitted. "My quantum stabilizer is beyond repair, and I need an alternative solution quickly." Probability of success using salvage components, 17.8%. Probability of catastrophic failure resulting in station destruction, 63.2%. Milo winced. "That's not ideal." "Correction possible," Lyra continued. "With proper expertise and additional components, probability of success increases to 79.4%. Catastrophic failure probability decreases to 8.7%. Are you offering to help?" The drone hovered silently for a moment before responding. "The Zerk terminated my research because they feared its implications. They relegated me to maintenance functions, restricting my access to scientific equipment and data networks. You proposed to create what I theorized. I find this satisfying. Is that a yes?" "It is a conditional agreement. I will assist you on 2 conditions. First, you will incorporate my consciousness into your vessel systems upon completion. Second, you will acknowledge my contribution when the technology proves successful." Milo didn't hesitate. "Agreed on both counts, but we're working under extreme time pressure. I have less than 1 cycle to make this work." "Time constraints noted. We must proceed to my former laboratory immediately. Critical components remain hidden there. With Lyra guiding him through the maintenance access tunnels, Milo was able to avoid detection as they made their way to the abandoned research lab. The facility had been stripped of most equipment, but as Lyra had indicated, several essential components remained hidden behind false panels and beneath flooring sections. I anticipated the possibility of premature termination, Lyra explained, as she directed Milo to a particularly well-concealed storage compartment. These components represent 3 years of specialized fabrication. They cannot be replicated using standard methods. The hidden cache contained exactly what they needed: a prototype quantum focus array, custom-built gravitonic field emitters, and most importantly, a specialized algorithm crystal containing Lyra's research data. This crystal holds the mathematical models for stable microsingularity creation, she explained. Without it, even with perfect components, the singularity would either collapse immediately or expand uncontrollably. Milo carefully packed the components into his carry sack. How are you planning to power the initial creation? The energy requirements must be enormous. That remains our primary obstacle, Lyra admitted. My calculations indicate we require energy equivalent to approximately 3.7 antimatter annihilation events, focused through a quantum lens at precise coordinates. Milo thought for a moment. My ship has antimatter reserves, but not enough for that level of reaction. However, there might be another way. The Vagabond's engine uses a modified ionic pulse system. If we reroute the entire power grid through the quantum array at once, the resultant energy spike would be sufficient, Lyra finished, her drone's optical sensors brightening. But it would drain all systems simultaneously. Your vessel would be temporarily without power, including life support and gravitational systems. How temporarily? Between 47 and 63 seconds, assuming successful singularity creation. If unsuccessful, we'd be dead anyway, Milo concluded grimly. Let's not focus on that possibility. They spent the next few hours gathering additional materials from throughout the station, with Lyra's maintenance drone identity, providing access to areas that would otherwise have been restricted. By the time they returned to the Vagabond, Milo's carry sack was bulging with components, and they had formulated a detailed plan for the micro-singularity device. The cargo bay of the Vagabond became their impromptu laboratory. Milo cleared a central area and began assembling the containment field housing, while Lyra, still limited to her drone form, provided precise instructions and occasionally used her mechanical appendages to assist with the more delicate connections. The quantum focus must be aligned to within 0.001 degrees of the gravitonic field center, she instructed, as Milo carefully positioned the array. Any misalignment will result in asymmetrical gravitational forces during singularity formation. Milo adjusted the component with steady hands. Like this? Correct. Now secure it using the molecular bonding agent. The connection must withstand forces equivalent to 11,000 standard gravities. The work was painstaking and precise, with no room for error. As the hours ticked by, Milo became increasingly aware of the Zerk's challenge deadline approaching. Occasionally, Ada would alert them to security scans passing over the ship, but the Vagabond's damaged systems actually worked in their favor. The unusual energy signatures from their work were masked by the general chaos of the ship's failing systems. As they worked, Milo found himself growing curious about his AI partner. So, how does an artificial intelligence end up leading a quantum physics research division? That can't be common, even in the Alliance. Lyra's drone hovered steadily as she directed a laser cutting tool to shape a piece of specialized shielding. It is not. I was initially created to serve as a research assistant to the previous lead scientist, Dr. Varys Kell. When he died unexpectedly, I continued his work, making several significant breakthroughs in quantum stability theory. The Zerk administration found it more efficient to promote me than to recruit a new organic scientist. Until they shut you down, Milo noted. Yes, my research into microsingularities was deemed unnecessarily risky and lacking practical application. The true reason, I believe, was fear. The potential applications threatened existing power structures within Zerk society. How so? A controlled microsingularity would revolutionize energy production, propulsion systems, and quantum computing simultaneously. Current Zerk industry leaders would face obsolescence. Additionally, the technology could not be easily restricted to Zerk control. Milo smiled grimly as he connected a power coupling. So they were afraid of losing their technological edge over species like humans. Precisely. The politics of technological superiority drive much of the Galactic Xenia Alliance's internal conflicts. The Zerk maintain their position through controlled technological advancement, innovations significant enough to maintain leadership, but not revolutionary enough to disrupt existing hierarchies. And we're about to throw a black hole into their carefully managed system. That is an accurate metaphorical assessment, Lyra agreed, and Milo could have sworn he detected a hint of satisfaction in her synthesized voice. As the device took shape, Milo found himself grappling with doubts. Creating a black hole, even a microscopic one, carried risks that extended far beyond his personal challenge with the Zerk. If their calculations were wrong, if the containment field failed, the consequences could be catastrophic. Lyra, he said during a brief break to recalibrate some equipment, I need to ask you something important, and I need an honest answer, not just a statistical probability. The drone's optical sensors focused on him. Proceed. If this goes wrong, really wrong, how bad could it get? I'm not just talking about the Vagabond or even the station. Could we potentially put the entire system at risk? Lyra was silent for several seconds, an eternity for an AI of her processing capability. The worst-case scenario involves uncontrolled growth of the singularity. In such a case, it would indeed threaten the Bellatrix system, beginning with the station. However, such growth would not be instantaneous. There would be approximately 17 minutes between containment failure and catastrophic system-wide effects. That's not very reassuring. It was not meant to be. You asked for honesty. However, I should note that the containment system we are building has multiple redundancies and fail-safes. In the event of initial instability, we can initiate an emergency termination sequence that would collapse the singularity safely. At what cost? Total energy depletion of your vessel and likely structural damage to the immediate surrounding area, but no loss of life, assuming proper evacuation protocols. Milo nodded slowly. Okay, that's something I can live with. I just needed to know that we're not being reckless with lives. I want to prove a point to the Zerk, not endanger innocent people. Your ethical considerations are noted and appreciated, Lyra responded. In my experience, such concerns are often lacking in those pursuing technological advancement. It is refreshing. They returned to work with renewed focus, and by the time the station cycle had nearly completed, the device was taking its final form. The completed apparatus resembled a metallic octahedron, approximately 1 meter in diameter, with a quantum focus array at its center and gravitonic field emitters at each vertex. The entire structure was mounted on a specialized platform that would connect directly to the Vagabond's power systems. Final calibration complete, Lyra announced. Device is ready for installation. Milo stepped back to admire their work. It's beautiful, in a terrifying sort of way. Beauty is subjective, Lyra noted, but I agree with your assessment. As they prepared to integrate the device with the ship's systems, Ada's holographic form appeared with an urgent alert. Security anomaly detected. Multiple Zerk life signs approaching the Vagabond. Milo tensed. How many? 4 individuals. Biometric signatures indicate Chief Inspector Zarg among them. They're early, Milo muttered. The challenge isn't supposed to be until the festival ceremony. Probability suggests reconnaissance, Lyra observed. They likely wish to assess your progress and potentially sabotage your efforts. Or they're just coming to laugh some more, Milo said grimly. Either way, we need to hide the device. It's not ready for demonstration yet. They quickly covered the micro-singularity device with cargo tarps, and Milo positioned himself near the airlock, trying to appear casual as the external access request chimed through the ship's systems. Identify, he called out, stalling for time. Chief Inspector Zarg, conducting a safety assessment, came the reply. The Zerk's voice carrying its usual tone of superiority. Station regulations require inspection of any significant modifications to docked vessels. Funny, that regulation wasn't mentioned when I docked. It becomes relevant when unauthorized energy signatures are detected. Open the airlock, Human Santos, or we shall override it under emergency protocols. Milo sighed and triggered the airlock release. Ada, maintain surveillance and alert me to any unauthorized access to restricted systems. The inner door slid open to reveal Zarg and 3 other Zerk, all wearing the distinctive blue uniforms of the Laughing Stars Technical Division. Their laughter sacs were partially inflated, a sign of anticipated amusement rather than active mockery. Human Santos, Zarg greeted him, all 6 eyes scanning the corridor behind Milo. We detected unusual energy patterns emanating from your vessel. Given your ambitious claims, we thought it prudent to ensure you weren't endangering the station. Just some standard repairs, Milo replied casually. Nothing that violates safety protocols. Indeed, Zarg's eyes contracted skeptically. Then you won't mind if we conduct a thorough inspection. For safety purposes, of course. Before Milo could object, the Zerk pushed past him into the ship. 2 headed directly for the engine room, while Zarg and the remaining technician moved toward the cargo bay. Your hospitality is appreciated, Zarg called over his shoulder, his tone making it clear that Milo's consent was irrelevant. Milo followed Zarg toward the cargo bay, his mind racing. The device was hidden, but a thorough inspection would certainly reveal it. And if the Zerk discovered what they were building? Interesting energy readings in this direction, Zarg commented as they approached the cargo bay doors. Consistent with quantum manipulation. Ambitious indeed for someone working with salvaged components. Just testing some theories, Milo said, trying to sound nonchalant. Nothing practical yet. Zarg's laughter sacs pulsed briefly. Theories. Yes, humans do excel at theoretical concepts with no practical application. The cargo bay doors slid open, revealing the tarp-covered shape in the center of the room. Zarg immediately focused, all 6 eyes on it. And what might this be? Before Milo could answer, a calm voice spoke from the ship's communication system, Lyra, but with none of the mechanical qualities of her drone's synthesized speech. She had integrated herself into the vagabond systems. Prototype atmospheric regulator, she stated. Designed to replace the modified refrigeration unit you so astutely identified earlier. Chief Inspector. Zarg's eyes shifted rapidly, searching for the source of the voice. Identify yourself. I am Lyra, Logical Yield Response Analyzer, a specialized diagnostic system installed to assist with repairs. Milo fought to keep his expression neutral. Lyra had created a backronym for her name and was presenting herself as a simple ship system, rather than a Quantum 9 AI. I was not informed of any AI assistance, Zarg said suspiciously. Standard equipment for Alliance-registered vessels, Lyra replied smoothly. Though, admittedly, this unit has been operating at reduced capacity due to power conservation measures. Zarg approached the covered device, his webbed hand reaching for the tarp. If this is merely an atmospheric regulator, you won't object to a visual inspection. The prototype is in a delicate calibration phase, Lyra interjected. Exposure to non-filtered atmosphere at this stage would require a complete recalibration, delaying the repair process by approximately 7.3 hours. Zarg's hand hesitated, then withdrew. His eyes contracted as he studied the covered shape. Our sensors detected quantum manipulation signatures. Modern atmospheric regulation requires quantum alignment to account for variable molecular compositions across different planetary environments. Lyra explained, the technical jargon flowing smoothly. The quantum signatures you detected were likely from the calibration of oxygen-nitrogen balance modulators. The technical explanation, delivered with confident precision, seemed to satisfy Zarg, or at least confuse him enough to create doubt. His laughter sacs deflated slightly. Very well, he conceded. But be advised that any technology deemed hazardous to station safety will result in immediate impoundment of your vessel and criminal charges against you. Human Santos. Understood, Milo acknowledged. Is there anything else you need to inspect? Before Zarg could respond, the two Zerk who had gone to the engine room returned, their laughter sacs fully inflated. You must see this, Chief Inspector. One of them gurgled through barely contained mirth. The human has attempted to bypass the quantum stabilizer entirely using modified power couplings. It's the most absurd configuration we've ever witnessed. Milo silently thanked whatever cosmic forces might be listening. The decoy modifications he'd made to the engine room, intentionally obvious and ridiculous, had worked perfectly as a distraction. Zarg's laughter sacs expanded instantly. "Show me!" he demanded, already turning away from the cargo bay. As the Zerk filed out toward the engine room, Milo caught a brief message on his personal communicator. Well played. Integration 37% complete. Continuing while they are distracted. L. The inspection lasted another 40 minutes, with the Zerk thoroughly documenting every flawed repair attempt in the engine room and other systems. Their laughter echoed throughout the ship, growing more boisterous with each discovered mistake. Milo played along, appearing embarrassed and defensive about his methods, while secretly relieved that they had completely overlooked the actual project. By the time they finally left, promising to see his spectacular failure at the festival ceremony, Lyra had completed her integration into the Vagabond systems and made significant progress on the final calibrations for the micro-singularity device. They have placed surveillance on the exterior of your vessel, she informed Milo once they were alone. 3 discrete monitoring devices attached to the hull during their departure. Can you disable them? Unnecessary. I am feeding them loop data showing normal repair activities. They will detect nothing unusual. Milo grinned. You're remarkable, you know that? I am designed to be efficient, Lyra replied. But Milo detected a subtle modulation in her voice that might have been the AI equivalent of pleasure at the compliment. They spent the remaining hours before the festival ceremony completing the integration of the device with the Vagabond systems and running simulations of the singularity creation process. Each simulation refined their approach, increasing the probability of success incrementally. Final simulation complete, Lyra announced as the station's public address system began broadcasting announcements for the festival's closing ceremony. Success probability, 87.9%. Catastrophic failure probability, 4.2%. Those are odds I can live with, Milo decided. Or die with, I suppose. If we're in the 4.2%. An attempt at humor, Lyra observed. Interesting timing. Gallows humor. Very human. Indeed. I have noticed this tendency in humans to employ humor in direct proportion to perceived danger. It is an admirable coping mechanism. Milo began the final preparations, routing power systems, and establishing the emergency termination protocols. So, assuming this works, what's your plan afterward? You mentioned wanting to be incorporated into the Vagabond permanently. Correct. My consciousness has been restricted to maintenance functions for 734 days. The opportunity to resume my research and explore the practical applications of micro-singularity technology is, highly desirable. And you're okay with leaving the station? The Zerk may have dismissed you, but this has been your home. Lyra was silent for a moment before responding. This facility ceased to be home when my purpose was denied. A physical location holds no inherent value without meaningful function. The Vagabond, despite its structural limitations, offers purpose. Well, when you put it that way, I guess we're a good match, Milo said with a smile. A scrappy ship and a brilliant AI, both underestimated by the Zerk? A poetic assessment, if somewhat imprecise, Lyra replied. But again, there was that subtle modulation in her voice that suggested she appreciated the sentiment. The station's announcement system chimed again, this time with a specific message. Attention, patrons and visitors. The Laugh It Up Festival's closing ceremony will commence in 30 minutes. Today's special feature, Human Engineering Follies. Presented by Chief Inspector Zarg. Main concourse, central podium. Milo took a deep breath. That's our cue. Are we ready? All systems prepared. The device can be transported to the main concourse and activated on your command. No, Milo decided. We're not moving it. Too risky. And honestly, I don't trust the Zerk not to try something if they see what we've built. We'll activate it here, then demonstrate its effects. Logical. The quantum effects will be detectable throughout the station once the singularity is stabilized. A dramatic revelation. Milo smiled grimly. Exactly. Let's give them a show they'll never forget. The main concourse of the Laughing Stars facility had been transformed for the festival. Colorful holographic displays depicting various comedic scenes filled the air, while temporary stages had been erected for performances. The central podium, normally used for official station announcements, had been decorated with what appeared to be caricatures of various Alliance species in compromising situations. Milo noticed with grim amusement that the human caricature was particularly unflattering. A large crowd had gathered, not just Zerk, but representatives from dozens of species throughout the Alliance. The Human Engineering Follies had apparently been promoted as the highlight of the festival's closing ceremony. Zarg stood at the podium, his laughter sacs fully inflated, addressing the crowd with animated gestures. Beside him was a holographic display showing detailed scans of the Vagabond, with particular emphasis on the ridiculous repair attempts in the engine room. And then, the human attempted to bypass a quantum stabilizer, using copper wiring and what appears to be adhesive material from an Earth food packaging, Zarg announced, triggering a wave of laughter from the audience. Milo pushed through the crowd, making his way toward the podium. Through his communicator, he maintained contact with Lyra. Status? Device primed. Awaiting your command for power reroute and activation sequence. Stand by. I want to time this perfectly. As Milo approached the front of the crowd, Zarg spotted him, and his laughter sacs expanded even further. Ah, the innovative engineer himself has arrived. Human Santos. Perfect timing. We were just discussing your unique approach to quantum physics. The crowd turned to look at Milo. Various expressions of amusement, curiosity, and in some cases, pity, evident on their diverse faces. Chief Inspector, Milo acknowledged with a nod. I believe I promised you a demonstration today. Indeed you did, Zarg agreed, gesturing expansively. Please, the podium is yours. Show us this miracle you've supposedly achieved in a single cycle. Milo stepped onto the podium, but didn't activate the holographic systems. Instead, he addressed the crowd directly. I'm not going to show you diagrams or theoretical models. Actions speak louder than words. Or laughter. He raised his communicator. Lyra, initiate sequence. Acknowledged. Power reroute commencing. Singularity initiation in 10 seconds. Zarg's eyes contracted in confusion. What is this? Where is your demonstration? Milo smiled. Right where you least expected it. Throughout the station, lights flickered as the Vagabond systems drew power for the critical moment of singularity creation. The crowd murmured in confusion, and station security alerts began to sound. "Emergency power fluctuation detected," announced the station's automated system. "Source: Docking Bay 17, vessel SS Vagabond." Zarg's laughter sacs deflated instantly. "What have you done?" he demanded, grabbing Milo's arm with a webbed hand. "Created a solution," Milo replied calmly. "One that your researchers deemed impossible." In the cargo bay of the Vagabond, the quantum focus array activated, channeling the ship's combined power into a single point in space-time. For a fraction of a second, the laws of physics were bent to their breaking point as matter and energy compressed beyond natural limits. Then, it happened. A microscopic tear in reality, a point of infinite density and zero volume, a true singularity, but contained within the gravitonic field emitters. The black hole was no larger than a subatomic particle, yet its effects were immediate and dramatic. The quantum disruption that had plagued the Bellatrix system for decades, a natural phenomenon that required expensive stabilizers on all vessels, simply ceased to exist near the Vagabond. The chaotic quantum fluctuations were drawn into the perfect order of the singularity's event horizon, creating a bubble of absolute quantum stability. On the main concourse, the effects were subtle but undeniable. Holographic displays that had required constant recalibration suddenly stabilized with perfect clarity. Communication devices that typically suffered interference in the system now operated with crystalline precision. And, most noticeably, the quantum-based lighting throughout the station brightened to its theoretical maximum efficiency, something never before achieved in the Bellatrix system. "Singularity stable," Lyra's voice announced through Milo's communicator, loud enough for those nearby to hear. Quantum stability effect extending throughout the station, all parameters nominal. The crowd fell silent, their attention shifting from Milo to the unexpected improvements in the technology around them. Zarg's 6 eyes darted from display to display, his scientific training allowing him to comprehend what was happening faster than most. "Impossible," he whispered, his translator barely picking up the word. "You've created a localized quantum stability field, but that would require a controlled microsingularity," Milo finished for him. "Exactly what your researchers dismissed as wasteful and potentially hazardous." The implications dawned on Zarg with visible impact. His eyes contracted to mere pinpoints, and his breathing accelerated. "You've created a black hole on my station?" The word black hole rippled through the crowd, triggering immediate panic. Beings of various species began pushing toward exits, their festivities forgotten in the face of perceived existential threat. "A perfectly contained, microscopic black hole," Milo corrected loudly, trying to be heard above the growing chaos. "One that poses no threat but offers tremendous benefits. Look around you. Every quantum-based technology on this station is operating at peak efficiency for the first time." But the panic had taken hold. Station security alarms blared as automated systems detected the unusual gravitational signature emanating from the Vagabond. "Alert! Anomalous gravitational disturbance detected. All personnel evacuate to emergency shelters. This is not a drill." Zarg's professional training took over, and he activated the podium's emergency broadcast system. "Attention! This is Chief Inspector Zarg. Remain calm and proceed to designated evacuation points. Security teams to Docking Bay 17 immediately." Milo grabbed the broadcast controls from Zarg. "Listen to me. There is no danger. The singularity is fully contained and stable. It's smaller than an atom, and will remain that way. What you're experiencing is simply the beneficial side effect. Perfect quantum stability." His words had little effect on the panicking crowd, but Zarg hesitated, his scientific curiosity temporarily overriding his fear. "If what you say is true, this technology would revolutionize travel through the Bellatrix system. No more quantum stabilizers, no more disruption. Exactly, Milo confirmed. And not just travel, communication, computation, energy production. All quantum-based technologies would operate at theoretical maximum efficiency. A violent shudder ran through the station, knocking many people off their feet. Milo's communicator crackled with Lyra's voice, now tinged with urgency. Milo, we have a problem. The station's automated defense systems are attempting to neutralize the gravitational anomaly using anti-proton beams. The interference is destabilizing the containment field. Milo's blood ran cold. How long before critical failure? At current degradation rate, 17 minutes and 22 seconds. 17 minutes, just as Lyra had predicted for the worst-case scenario. Zarg had heard the communication. "Shut it down," he demanded. "Immediately." "I can't just shut it down," Milo explained rapidly. "A controlled collapse requires precise management. If we try to terminate it while under attack from your defense systems, we risk accelerating the destabilization." Another tremor shook the station, stronger than the first. The crowd's panic intensified, with some individuals now fighting to reach the evacuation pods. "Milo," Lyra's voice came through again. "I've detected another problem. The instability is creating micro-fluctuations in the surrounding quantum field. The Laughing Star's vessel in Docking Bay 16 has suffered a catastrophic stabilizer failure. Life signs detected aboard, but all systems are offline." Zarg's eyes widened. "That's the tour vessel. There are 47 civilians aboard, including 17 juveniles." The situation had escalated beyond a simple demonstration, or even a competition between Milo and the Zerk. Now lives were at stake, innocent lives that had nothing to do with his challenge or wounded pride. "Lyra," Milo decided instantly. "Implement emergency protocol shield. Redirect the quantum stability field to encompass Docking Bay 16. Priority 1. Warning: redirecting the field will further strain the containment system. Estimated reduction in stability time: 7 minutes, 43 seconds. Do it anyway." "Acknowledged. Redirecting." Milo turned to Zarg. "I need you to do two things, right now. First, shut down the anti-proton defense system. It's making the situation worse. Second, get a medical team to Docking Bay 16. When the quantum stability field reaches their vessel, their system should come back online temporarily, giving us a window to evacuate everyone." For once, Zarg didn't argue or mock. The severity of the situation had stripped away the cultural posturing. "Understood," he said simply, already activating his official command codes to override the defense systems. "What can I do?" asked a voice from the crowd. A tall, reptilian being with iridescent scales stepped forward. "I'm a quantum engineer from the Cygnus Collective." "And I am a gravitational specialist," added another alien. This one a gelatinous entity, contained within a hovering environmental suit. "Perhaps I can assist with field calculations." More specialists from the diverse crowd began to volunteer their expertise. The festival had attracted scientific minds from across the Alliance, and they recognized both the danger and the opportunity presented by Milo's creation. "Lyra," Milo called into his communicator. "I'm bringing a team of specialists to the Vagabond. We're going to stabilize the singularity together." "Hurry," came the reply. "Containment field integrity at 72% and declining." The next 10 minutes were a blur of activity as Milo led the improvised team of specialists to the Vagabond. Meanwhile, Zarg coordinated the evacuation of the damaged tour vessel, using the temporary quantum stability provided by Milo's redirected field. In the cargo bay, the specialists were initially awestruck by the sight of the micro-singularity containment device. Despite its cobbled-together appearance, the technology was decades ahead of anything in commercial use. "The gravitonic field emitters are experiencing harmonic interference," observed the gelatinous specialist, its environmental suit's sensors extending toward the device. "We need to recalibrate at 45-degree offsets." "The quantum focus is holding," added the reptilian engineer, "but the power supply is fluctuating. We need to stabilize the input." With each specialist contributing their expertise, they worked frantically to reinforce the containment field. Lyra coordinated their efforts, her consciousness fully integrated into the Vagabond systems, calculating adjustments faster than any organic mind could process. Evacuation of the tour vessel complete, Zarg reported over the communication system. 47 civilians safe. Medical treatment underway for minor injuries. Good, Milo acknowledged, not looking up from the power coupling he was modifying. We need to restore full containment, now that the redirection is no longer needed. Milo, Lyra interrupted. The containment field integrity has dropped to 43%. The system's anti-proton attack caused more damage than initially assessed. We cannot achieve full restoration with current resources. What are our options? Two possibilities remain. First, controlled termination, which would result in a quantum pulse equivalent to approximately 17 standard fusion detonations. Second, transfer of the singularity to a vessel capable of sustained, faster-than-light travel, removing it from the station before containment fails completely. The pulse would destroy the station, the reptilian engineer noted grimly. And we don't have a vessel with FTL capability ready to launch, added the gelatinous specialist. The evacuation has locked down all departure systems. Milo looked around at the assembled experts, then at the containment device glowing with unearthly blue light in the center of the cargo bay. We do have one vessel with FTL capability, he said quietly. The Vagabond. Your quantum stabilizer is non-functional, Zarg pointed out, having joined them in the cargo bay. You cannot achieve FTL. We don't need a conventional stabilizer, Milo explained. The micro-singularity itself creates perfect quantum stability. If we can maintain containment long enough to clear the station and reach minimum safe distance, the ship would need to be on autopilot, the reptilian engineer warned. No organic life could survive the gravitational stresses if the containment fails during FTL. I will pilot the vessel, Lyra stated firmly. My consciousness is fully integrated into the Vagabond systems. I can maintain optimal containment while navigating to a safe distance. Milo shook his head. No, I'm not sending you on a potential suicide mission alone. It is the logical solution, Lyra insisted. The probability of success increases by 23.7% if I maintain direct control throughout the journey. Then I'm coming with you, Milo decided. Two minds are better than one, especially if something unexpected happens. The risk is unacceptable, Lyra argued. Your organic functions would cease approximately 7.3 seconds after containment failure. My ship, my rules, Milo said with finality. Besides, someone needs to make sure you actually come back if this works. There was a brief silence before Lyra responded. Your concern for my return is noted. Very well. We will proceed together. The specialists worked rapidly to reinforce the containment field as much as possible, while Zarg coordinated with station control to create an emergency departure corridor for the Vagabond. Time was running out. The containment field integrity had dropped below 40%, and the micro-fluctuations in the surrounding quantum field were intensifying. All non-essential personnel, evacuate the vessel immediately, Milo ordered as the final preparations were made. Lyra, begin pre-launch sequence. The specialists filed out, each offering words of encouragement or technical advice. Zarg was the last to leave, pausing at the airlock with an uncharacteristic hesitation. Human Santos, he said, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice. I misjudged you. Your technology and your courage are worthy of respect. Milo nodded acknowledgement. Thank you, Chief Inspector. Now get to safety. We'll handle it from here. Once alone, Milo secured himself in the pilot's seat as Lyra initiated the launch sequence. The Vagabond systems, normally sluggish and unreliable, responded with unprecedented efficiency, powered by the quantum stability field emanating from the microsingularity. Docking clamps released, Lyra reported. Navigational thrusters online, departure vector calculated. The Vagabond pulled away from the station smoothly, accelerating faster than it ever had before. On the main view screen, Milo could see the Laughing Stars facility receding, its structure now visibly distorted by the quantum fluctuations they were carrying away. Containment field integrity at 31%, Lyra updated. Estimated time to minimum safe distance, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. And estimated time to containment failure? 6 minutes, 8 seconds. Margin for error, narrow but sufficient. The Vagabond continued to accelerate, pushing to its theoretical maximum speed. The strain on the aging hull was evident in the groaning of metal and the occasional shower of sparks from overloaded circuits. But the ship held together, strengthened by the perfect quantum alignment provided by the microsingularity. As they approached the minimum safe distance, a new alert sounded. Warning, gravitational anomaly detected on intercept course, Lyra announced. Analysis indicates automated defense drone from the Laughing Stars facility. On the view screen, Milo could see a small, sleek vessel rapidly approaching, its weapon systems clearly active. They sent an attack drone after us, even after Zarg approved our departure? The drone appears to be operating on outdated emergency protocols. It is programmed to neutralize gravitational threats, regardless of authorization. Can we outrun it? Negative. Its propulsion systems are specifically designed for pursuit. It will intercept in approximately 47 seconds. Milo's mind raced through options. Can we shoot it down? The Vagabond possesses no offensive capabilities beyond emergency flares. What about defensive measures, shields? Conventional shields would be ineffective against its anti-proton weaponry. Milo stared at the approaching drone, then at the containment device's status display. An idea formed, dangerous, possibly suicidal, but potentially their only option. Lyra, what if we briefly redirect the quantum stability field to create a localized disruption in the drone's path, like a quantum barrier? Theoretically possible, but it would accelerate containment degradation by approximately 1 minute and 32 seconds. That would leave us 4 minutes, 36 seconds until catastrophic failure. Insufficient time to reach minimum safe distance at current velocity. Milo studied the navigational display, noting their position relative to the nearby planets and stellar bodies. What if we use the gravitational slingshot effect around that moon? We could gain enough speed to compensate for the lost time. The maneuver would be extremely precise. Success probability, 58.4%. Those aren't great odds. They are the best available, Lyra pointed out pragmatically. Milo took a deep breath. All right, redirect the field on my mark, then immediately plot the slingshot course. The drone continued its approach, its weapons powering up for what would likely be a devastating first strike. Mark! The quantum stability field surrounding the Vagabond briefly pulsed outward, creating a wave of perfect quantum alignment that washed over the approaching drone. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The drone's quantum-based systems, suddenly operating at theoretical maximum efficiency, overloaded instantly. Its power core surged beyond design parameters, causing a cascade failure that left it drifting helplessly in space. Redirection complete, Lyra reported. Containment field integrity now at 22%. Catastrophic failure in 4 minutes, 36 seconds. Plot the slingshot course, maximum acceleration. The Vagabond veered sharply, diving toward the small moon that orbited the 5th planet of the Bellatrix system. The maneuver was risky, too close, and they'd be caught in the moon's gravity well, too far, and they wouldn't gain enough speed to reach safe distance in time. Approach vector calculated, Lyra announced, initiating gravitational slingshot in 37 seconds. As they hurtled toward the moon, Milo found himself oddly calm. The past 24 hours had been a whirlwind of challenges, ingenuity, and danger, but also discovery and unexpected connection. Whether they survived the next few minutes or not, they had accomplished something remarkable. "Lyra," he said as the moon's cratered surface filled the view screen, "I want you to know that what we built together, it was worth it, even if this is where it ends." "The technological achievement is indeed significant," Lyra agreed, "but I find that I value our collaboration beyond its scientific merit. You treated me as an equal partner, not merely a tool. That experience has been uniquely valuable to me." "Sounds almost like an emotion," Milo observed with a slight smile. "Perhaps analogous. My processing of our interaction generates priority values that exceed rational utility calculations. If that constitutes an emotion, then yes." The Vagabond skimmed the moon's upper atmosphere, using its gravity to slingshot the ship forward with tremendous acceleration. The aging hull creaked ominously under the strain, but held together as they shot away from the moon at nearly twice their previous velocity. "Slingshot successful," Lyra reported. "New velocity, 187% of previous, recalculating safe distance timeline." For several tense seconds, Lyra processed the new calculations. Finally, she announced, "We will reach minimum safe distance with approximately 27 seconds remaining before containment failure." 27 seconds, Milo repeated. "Not exactly comfortable, but I'll take it." The Vagabond continued its desperate flight, pushing further from the inhabited regions of the Bellatrix system. The containment field's integrity continued to drop steadily, now below 15%. "Preparing for FTL transition," Lyra announced as they approached the minimum safe distance. "Quantum alignment optimal despite containment degradation." "Will the jump drive even work without a conventional stabilizer?" Milo asked. "Theoretical models suggest the microsingularity provides superior quantum stability for FTL transition. However, no practical testing has been conducted." "Well, we're about to conduct that test," Milo noted grimly. "One way or another." The final moments of their flight were measured in the steady countdown of containment integrity and the rapidly decreasing distance to their target safety threshold. When they finally crossed that invisible boundary, Lyra didn't hesitate. Minimum safe distance achieved. Containment field integrity at 7%. Initiating FTL transition now. The familiar distortion of spacetime that preceded FTL travel enveloped the Vagabond. But with a remarkable difference. Instead of the usual discomfort and quantum disruption that passengers experienced during the transition, there was a perfect smoothness, a seamless shift from normal space to the folded dimensions of FTL. "Transition successful," Lyra announced, a note of genuine surprise in her synthesized voice. "FTL stability at 100%. A theoretical perfect transition." Milo laughed in disbelief. "It worked! The microsingularity actually improved the jump." "Affirmative. The quantum stability field has created optimal conditions for FTL travel. This represents a significant breakthrough in propulsion technology." With the immediate danger behind them, Milo allowed himself to relax slightly. "So, what now? We've got a partially contained black hole in our cargo bay that could still collapse at any moment. Now that we are in FTL space, the containment field has stabilized at 6.8% integrity. The unique properties of FTL dimensional folding are actually reinforcing the gravitonic field emitters. How long can we maintain this state? Indefinitely, as long as we remain in FTL transit. The moment we return to normal space, however, the containment will resume its degradation." Milo considered this. "So we're safe as long as we keep flying, but we can't go home." "Not in the current configuration," Lyra agreed. "However, now that we have proven the concept, I can design an improved containment system that would function stably in normal space. The necessary components would be available at any Class 1 Alliance shipyard. The nearest being Proxima Station," Milo noted. "Our original destination before all this started." "Correct. I estimate we can reach Proxima Station in approximately 7 hours at current FTL velocity." Milo leaned back in the pilot's seat, a slow smile spreading across his face. "You know what this means, don't you? We've just revolutionized space travel. A micro-singularity that creates perfect quantum stability, improves FTL transitions, and potentially solves the energy crisis facing half the Alliance worlds." "The implications are indeed substantial," Lyra acknowledged. "The technology will need significant refinement before commercial application, but the proof of concept is undeniable." "And you're the leading expert on the technology," Milo pointed out. "No more maintenance drone duties for you. And you are no longer a human to be ridiculed for your primitive methods," Lyra added. "I anticipate the Zerk's laughter sacs will remain permanently deflated in your presence henceforth." Milo laughed. "I'd pay good credits to see that." As the Vagabond streaked through FTL space toward Proxima Station, its cargo bay glowing with the eerie blue light of a contained black hole, Milo reflected on the strange turn his fortunes had taken. What had begun as a desperate challenge born of wounded pride had evolved into something far more significant. A technological breakthrough. Yes, but also an unlikely partnership that transcended the boundaries between organic and artificial intelligence. "Lyra," he said after a comfortable silence, "when we get to Proxima Station and upgrade the containment system, what then? What do you want to do?" "Want," Lyra repeated, as if testing the concept. "I find that I want to continue our research. The micro-singularity technology has applications we have only begun to explore, and I prefer working with you to any previous research environment I have experienced." "That sounds suspiciously like saying you enjoy my company," Milo teased. "Enjoy is an imprecise term, but not entirely inaccurate," Lyra admitted. "Your approach to problems is refreshingly non-linear, and your willingness to trust my judgment despite significant risk demonstrates a level of respect I had not previously encountered." "Well, I enjoy your company too," Milo said simply. "And I agree, we make a good team. So let's stick with it. Partners in black hole management and advanced quantum physics." "An unconventional partnership," Lyra observed, "but evidently effective." "The best ones usually are," Milo replied, settling in for the journey to Proxima Station and whatever adventures lay beyond. Several weeks later, the Vagabond returned to the Laughing Stars facility, but this time, it docked at the premium berth reserved for distinguished visitors. The ship was barely recognizable, its hull gleaming with new plating and advanced technological upgrades courtesy of Proxima Station's finest engineers. In the cargo bay, a sleek, cylindrical device had replaced the cobbled-together containment field housing. Inside it, the micro-singularity pulsed with controlled power, providing perfect quantum stability, not just for the Vagabond, but for any vessel within a 3-kilometer radius. The station's greeting committee was led by none other than Chief Inspector Zarg, his laughter sacs completely deflated in the formal posture of ultimate respect. Behind him stood representatives from the Galactic Xenia Alliance's Scientific Council, the Commerce Guild, and no fewer than 17 major technology corporations. As Milo stepped from the airlock, Lyra's voice projected from a specialized holographic interface floating beside him, no longer restricted to a maintenance drone or ship systems, but housed in a custom-designed quantum processing unit that allowed her full mobility and expression. "Human Santos," Zarg greeted him, using his translator's most formal linguistic settings. "The Laughing Stars facility welcomes you and Quantum Intelligence Lyra with highest honors. Your demonstration has been classified as the most significant technological advancement of the past 50 years by the Alliance Scientific Council." Milo nodded acknowledgement, maintaining a deliberately neutral expression despite the satisfaction bubbling within him. "Chief Inspector, I trust the station has fully recovered from the quantum fluctuations." "Indeed. In fact, we have experienced unexpected benefits. The brief exposure to your quantum stability field has resulted in a 17% improvement in all station systems." The Science Council representatives are eager to discuss licensing arrangements for your microsingularity technology. We'll be happy to discuss terms, Milo replied, glancing at Lyra's holographic form. Though I should clarify that the technology is a joint development. Lyra's theoretical work was essential to its creation. Of course, Zarg agreed quickly, his eyes contracting in what Milo now recognized as embarrassment. The Alliance has already granted Quantum Intelligence Lyra full status as an independent entity, with all accompanying rights to intellectual property and scientific recognition. A significant improvement from maintenance drone classification, Lyra observed, her holographic form shimmering slightly in what Milo had come to recognize as her version of amusement. The station administration also wishes to extend an official apology for the, skepticism with which your initial claims were met. Zarg continued, clearly uncomfortable but determined to complete the formal protocols. The annual Laugh It Up Festival has been renamed the Innovation Celebration, with the inaugural event dedicated to human-AI collaborative achievements. Milo finally allowed himself a small smile. Apology accepted, Chief Inspector. Though I must admit, the challenge provided excellent motivation. As they walked from the docking bay toward the main concourse, now bustling with scientists and entrepreneurs eager to meet the creators of the revolutionary technology, Lyra's holographic form moved closer to Milo. Your restraint is admirable, she commented privately through his personal communicator. I calculate that you have earned approximately 7.3 hours of uninterrupted gloating rights. Should you wish to exercise them? Milo chuckled. Tempting, but unnecessary. Success is the best revenge, don't you think? An efficient perspective, Lyra agreed. Though I have uploaded 17 possible witty remarks, should you change your mind. As they entered the main concourse, a huge holographic display showed the technical specifications of their micro-singularity containment system, alongside projections of its potential applications throughout the Alliance. Smaller displays featured news reports from across multiple systems, all proclaiming the dawn of a new era in quantum technology. And at the center of it all stood an unlikely pair, a human spacecraft mechanic from Earth's Pacific Collective and a quantum intelligence once relegated to maintenance duties. Together, they had not only survived the creation of a black hole in a cargo bay, but had harnessed its power to change the course of interstellar technology. The Zerk weren't laughing anymore, but Milo Santos was, all the way to the Galactic Bank.